So I will be now talking about the open standard called Akoma Ntoso for the EU. As we are all after long day, I will start maybe with rhetorical questions. Standards at all. Why should we using standards? Will not AI do it magically? Us. You can see that behind the scenes, standards make our society work, actually. If you have clear user-oriented standard with good documentation, you can see that in most cases it works, in some it fails, but we go for the most. So this is why standards, and here we are in the event organized by the Interoperability Europe. So in our case, standards are main enablers of the interoperability. Systems cannot work and communicate together without clear, well-organized standards. A little bit about three important elements, because when we think about standards intuitively, we talk about technicalities. So of course it is very important to have and technical documentation. And we are basing ourselves on the Akoma Ntoso standard, which is open standard recognized by the OASIS in 2015. And I think we have one of the world's best specialists here in the room, Monika Palmirani. She knows, I think, the most of these standards, I think, really in the world. So we are basing ourselves on this standard. It's well suited for legislation. And what we do also is another important element is agreement. I don't know if across this, but once I read that the standards are like toothbrushes. Everyone recognizes the importance, but nobody wants to use the one of another person. So here it is very important to have a standard which is common, which is joint, which is jointly. So that's why we have this standard being developed together by European institutions, specialists, legislative specialists, technical specialists. We have some of them in this room. They are sitting together and they are developing, adjusting this standard to the business needs together. And then communication. As you saw in the slide, I will risk even, okay, without clear communications, some people can misinterpret standards. So it is very important to have them very well documented and published. I will use some time for promotion. Tomorrow we are going to have a stand in the event. Also today I can do some initial information on how well the standard is documented and where you can read it. So these are these three necessary elements. Now also I will mention on what he said. It is very, very important not to think about standards, IT or technical implementations. They have to really fit business needs and very, very typical legislative needs. That's why we have this collaborative development framed by the which is called Interinstitutional Metadata and Formats Committee, which is chaired by the Publications Office. Here a little bit more about how it works in practice. So somewhere that Akoma means it hurts. It comes from Akoma language. So somebody has to hurts. You cannot blame the own. So that's why here the Publications Office works as a neutral facilitator. We are interinstitutional office under the EU framework. So here we can really be this neutral facilitator, taking account at the same ground the interests or priorities of the EU institutions in this So what we do, we provide the framework that I just mentioned, the technical guidance. So our experts are analyzing legal documents with proposals, also analyzing legal requirements needs expressed by the institutions, and they are translating them into proposals of specific. So it's really an amount of work. So do the knowledge sharing, so the publication of the schema as such and all the technical specifications. We are also observer in OASIS. So Akoma Ntoso for the EU, it's a special implementation of the open standard. Of course, it has to be developed with the main standard Akoma Ntoso by OASIS. Last but not least, we are also collaborating very closely, which is also providing funding for this development. This is what we are doing nowadays. This is still a project mode. As Martin said, it will be very, very soon project working practice. So it will also change a little bit our role. We would like to also enable users to developers of this standard and form a community. So it's also one of our plans coming years. What we imagine and we hope there will be more and more users of Akoma Ntoso for the EU, so to give them possibility of also co-develop standard and being really this facilitator of the process. A little bit of the scope. So currently the main focus has been on the ordinary legislative procedure. It's really bread and butter of everyday user functioning. Decisions, regulations of the EU, the main, let's say, part of the procedures of the EU are within the ordinary legislative procedure. So that's why we started with this. All institutions are on board for this. That's why it's really interesting for development. There are also coming some institution-specific documents, preparatory acts, and similar acts of the EU. We are thinking also in perspective in the long-term cover, for example, base law. Then, of course, there is a coming interest from the member states, and we are very pleased at this interest, and you are all welcome also if you are from the administrations to come to us. We cannot guarantee full service. However, with guide you, will provide advice. We can also point to the right specifications that can be your needs. Added value. I'm not going to repeat all the information that Martin already said. I just want to underline how important what Martin said about the Commission functioning. You can multiply also by 3. Institutions involved in the legislative process, sending around documents, traveling in different document formats. That is just still not that bad. So there are multiple conversions, there are multiple transmission between. Now with Akoma Ntoso coupled with LEOS and also other institutions developments, we're going really to unleash the pure power of interoperability. So instead of having various formats and transmission lines, there will be verbal transmission of documents within one single format, highly structured, traceable around all the exchanges. Saving is pretty obvious. Automation is also very important. We're going to remove several conversions. Several conversions is not only cost, it's also possibly introducing errors in the legislation. Reputational risk for everybody. Right? Additional added value of using one standard by everybody. And then service offering. So I was very glad to hear the presentation from Cecile and Mon. It's really the door for future services. I think automation is just one, consolidation at the source another. Possibilities thanks to this development. So this is like a classical, let's say, advantages of crafting in a collaborative way in a standard structured legal data, it means high quality data with semantic information introduced. As AI, it really brings a new field of superpowers. And I think this is really a field which we are just starting to discover. So, okay, I will not spoil the show for tomorrow. You will hear about law as a code. You know, it will be legal research, for document analysis, for decision support. It is a huge potential future. Last slide, benefits. And this is, I think, the main message of my presentation. With open standards, everybody benefits using them. It's really open. So it's not only institutions, it's interinstitutional, it's academia, and finally, they are citizens. Get the information quicker, cost efficient, and much better quality.